Well, welcome on back to another stock market live stream. Market is not happy right now. We were supposed to get JOLTS data this morning. JOLTS data was expected to be released at 7 a.m. sharp, and I opened up to see what the JOLTS data was going to be, and boom, the notification pops up. JOLTS data, job opening and labor turnover data delayed due to government shutdown. Yeah. Back at it again, boys and girls, back at it again. Back to government shutdown days. At the same time as now you've got some holdouts in the Republican Party demanding voter ID as part of being willing to reopen the government, which, I'm kind of a proponent for voter ID. Don't get me wrong, but, my opinion doesn't matter here. What matters is now they're trying to keep the government shut down over it. That's a whole nother thing. At the same time, as that's going on, you've got this feud between NVIDIA and OpenAI. Jensen, it's apparently getting so bad that Jensen's gonna, he's gonna start doing interviews apparently, and it'll be interesting if Sam Altman does any interviews. Not seeing a lot of interviews from Sam Altman, just seeing kind of some panic tweets from him. Somebody here in the chat says, they gotta take the spotlight off the Epstein files with something. It's always that. PayPal had a 1.1% miss on adjusted earnings per share forecast for the year. As a result of that 1.1% miss and a CEO change out, the stock's now down 18%, trading for a 0.7 peg. Ridiculously cheap. You've got SanDisk that may have topped out. Might be obviously too soon to say, but it's massive rotation that so far you've got banks and defense stocks that are just doing the best. That doesn't include SoFi either. SoFi's got its own issues. We talked about those this morning in the Alpha report or in the course member live stream. But defense stocks doing very well, healthcare stocks doing well, and banks still holding on. JP Morgan coming perfectly down to our wedge just to bounce off of it. But outside of defense, healthcare, and banks, boy, you've got some frustration here in the market. I mean, Palantir had great earnings as usual. They forecast low and then beat it and then brag about their earnings. But institutions didn't really care because the pre-market rally really got sold off on Palantir. So it's not like you really went to the moon on this one, on earnings here. I mean, yeah, you're up 5%, but the stock's still down, 22-ish% from where it was earlier last year or mid last year. I mean, well, let's go take a look. When was it? Oh, not even that long ago. We peaked out November, end of last year. So a lot of peaking going on, a lot of peaking. At the same time, the NASDAQ 100 today totally lost 630 from pre-market. and as institutions come in to sell, they don't even pit stop at 627. It's a straight dump line to line. I mean, we had the run yesterday from 617 to 627. Today, it's like straight old dumpy doodlers down. So, yikes. It's making a lot of people wonder what the hell is going on. You know what I think it is? I think a lot of people are finally waking up and they're saying, you know what? Gotta give it to him. Kevin's right. Why not invest in a company that hasn't gotten a valuation since August of 2024? And let's just sell and diversify to HouseHack or reinvest. Because, Kevin's going to go buy fixer-uppers. They just added 12. And he's going to go fix them up and rent the properties out to tenants for us. It's nice and conservative. We don't have to deal with all the bull crap. None of this. We don't have to deal with any of this garbage. Kevin's going to deal with all of it for us. And all the headaches that come with tenants and toilets. And we're going to diversify. At the same time, if Kevin's valuation AI really kicks butt and people really love it, well, then we got this upside opportunity inside of some actual practical software. Who knows? Maybe that's probably why everyone's dumping. Invest and reinvest. No tenants, toilets, or headaches. 5% plus upside. Real estate backed. Invest with credit card, ACH, or wires. No fees. Obviously, I prefer you use ACH or wire. I don't like people investing with credit cards. I mean, I get it. You get points, so I get why people do it. I just don't want people to take on debt to invest. But I'm not their advisor. Investment round closes February 6th, 11:59 p.m. Yeah, that's the yield we pay out. It's an annual yield we pay out on a monthly basis through conversion. We only convert if the stock's valued higher. But anyway, let's go back to seeing maybe the suits have something for us. I was looking at the Doomers this morning in the journal and couldn't really find any particular reason here. We've got the information talking about a little bit of drama here on Stripe's stablecoin inside the Musk takeover. Let's take a look at that. Major Anthropic backer quintuples an AI math startup's valuation. Well, yeah, anyone who's leaving those big name companies is able to raise quite a bit of money. What's really driving the SpaceX merger? Money. XAI burns a lot of money. A lot of money. A lot of money. Let's see here. Okay, so... Elon Musk rammed through a combination of his company, SpaceX, startup, XAI, shiny new jewel, blah, 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 blah. Okay, who cares? The deal shows how quickly the world's richest man is moving to gain a fundraising advantage. Yep, exactly. What did I say? Money. It's always what it is. Like, you have to ask yourself, like somebody was asking me the other day, Kevin, why do you think, Disney had this thing where they'd let you, go to Disney for free on your birthday. And the idea was that people would go to Disney and they'd bring their friends and family to go celebrate their birthday. You're like, why do you think they got rid of free tickets on your birthday? And I'm like, it's simple. Money. It means it didn't work out for their growth. And maybe they were net down on the deal, thinking that they would bring new customers, and maybe they just brought their existing customers and gave them a free ticket. So it always comes down to money. It's always money. Money, money, money. So I agree with this, though. I do think that Elon needs money. I think that they are diluting SpaceX investors. I do not like it at all. I'm borderline pissed. Like, I do not want any exposure to XAI at a $250 billion valuation. I think this is funny money. This is a stupid number that was concocted. And I think this is a money-losing business. And frankly, Grok is like always fourth or fifth. Grok's down there with like US usage of DeepSeek. Everybody else is using Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT. And Elon can't have it. Elon can't stand the feeling of losing. So he's got to do everything he can to try to squeeze more money out and get his hands on dollahalas. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. The investment from SpaceX into XAI and the investment from Tesla into XAI was not enough. Needs more money. Somebody says, you still buying the SpaceX IPO? That's such a loaded question because that implies that I ever said I would buy it at IPO. No, I don't want to buy it at IPO. I think that's going to be the biggest cash out I've ever seen. The company has been in talks with Anchor Investments to invest a large chunk of the $50 billion the company hopes to raise in the IPO. Yeah, well, probably into AI. So now you're robbing the space ambitions so Elon can go buy more chips. They already got plenty of H100s. How many more H100s do we need? I mean, I know now we're doing Blackwells, but, the GB200s. But still, even those chips will be old in a year or two. It's just wild. While the arrangement should give XAI more financial cushion, it complicates what would have been a fairly straightforward IPO. I agree. I totally agree. It would have been such a clean and good IPO. And now you got to screw it up. I don't like it. And I think their revenues are going to be really murky because now revenue growth is going to include the acquisition of XAI, so it's going to be really hard to comp their revenue. Somebody says, I heard Elon is stopping X and S's to start building robots instead. That's correct. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. All right, so let's see here. SpaceX shareholders who believe the company's story with investors will require more explaining with the XAI combination. Totally. Very much on investors' mind. If it was a clean IPO, everyone would be super stoked. People are like, people are more than that. Offering one proxy. EchoStar has fallen nearly 5% since the news broke on Thursday. That doesn't surprise me. Combination highlights how the cash drain of AI development is forcing companies into the sector to look for the deep-pocketed partners, either by raising money or combining with another business. Yeah. This demonstrates the edge that a deep-pocketed leader like Google has. Yes, correct. And Gemini's done very well. XAI told investors it burned through $9.5 billion of cash through the first 9 months of last year. Wow, dude. They're spending money like drunk sailors. Purchased chips, revenue for that period stood about $210 million. That's it? $210 million? That's literally 1% of GPT. Well, that's 9 months. I think they're about $20 billion at OpenAI. 200 million is 1% of what... So OpenAI is making 100x more money. Holy smokes. The company recently raised at least $20 billion from investors, and Musk's auto company Tesla said it had pumped $2 billion into XAI. It's not clear if the Tesla investment was part of that $20 billion. Right. Well, now it's unclear how much money, what these combined financials are actually going to look like. Because the cash burn over here basically kills all of SpaceX free cash flow. Yeah. So then you got, in contrast, SpaceX, founded nearly a quarter century ago, recently started printing cash, had 1.2 or $1 to $2 billion of free cash flow. Large fund managers and investment bankers who flew in recent weeks to meetings ahead of the IPO walked away impressed with the company's dominance. Yeah, it's a great, clean company. Revenue had grown to roughly $16 billion. See, then that's where OpenAI sits. With about $8 billion in EBIT, which is great margin. I mean, that is adding back in stock comp and stuff. Hi. Sorry, Lauren needed help. Acquisition of XAI, which owns Grok, muddies the story. Not only is it burning cash, it faces problems of AI development. Yeah. I actually think you could write down some of these little notes here, just some of them to get a little bit of a feel for this. So, let's go jot this down. Okay. So SpaceX made 16 billion in revenue, and we had about 8 billion EBITDA. So doesn't include, stock comp, etc. likely. Okay. Now they had 1 to 2 billion of cash flow. 1 to 2 billion cash flow. Let's cite that really quick. And XAI has revenue of 200 mil, which is roughly 1%. 1% of OpenAI's. Okay. And XAI burned, in 9 months, they burned, what was it? 9 billion or 8 billion? 9.5. So they're burning about 1 billion a month. About 1 bill per month on AI. You know, that sucks. So basically, all of SpaceX's cash flow is going to go to XAI's money furnace instead of space investments, right? Which that's the whole vision of the company. And then, of course, Elon says this is which is complete looniness. Oh, in 2 to 3 years, we'll have a lower cost way to generate compute in space. No. Good luck cooling them, coming up with the technology to do that, and servicing them at a lower price. It's 2 to 3 years. Talk about like a decade, at least. I don't know. Whatever. SpaceX largest backers barely whispering about the topic 6 months ago. Last September, partners talked up the SpaceX deal. Let's see here. Speed at which Musk has injected. Sorry, one sec. Okay. Okay. Far exceeds current one function. A year ago, nobody talked about this. Blah, blah, blah. Business backers. Blah, blah, blah. Except data centers in space would raise the stakes for making the Starship reusable. Right. But you're going to need more CapEx. You're going to have to make investments. With the abrupt merger, ground stations, power Starlinks, hurdles of the Cal-hour, blah, 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 blah. Huh. All right. So, whatever. I don't know. Weird. But the need for cash is obvious. Okay. And then if you look over, that's the one we just read. So wait, is it? Pie in the sky, cash eating XAI, $250 billion. Didn't even attempt to explain how XAI would launch data centers in space. Oh, this is an opinion on it. Yeah, okay. So this is another little article on it. Burns a lot of cash, not selling grok to businesses very successfully. Oh, let's take a look at this. Yeah. Oh, they got Palantir involved, though. Morgan Stanley and Palantir. Generally conducting small tests. All right, that's an interesting report. The information reports XAI struggles to sell to big enterprises. Though some small tests are happening with Morgan Stanley and Palantir, which that's cool. You know, Palantir probably benefits just out of aggregating a lot of different models together, right? Okay. So, and then remember the valuation. So it's 1.25 billion combined, 250 million XAI, which is like honestly a diss to SpaceX. SpaceX doesn't make anywhere near the money XAI will need over the next few years. I mean, they make good money, so what are they on about? Tesla has more revenues, but not necessarily more free cash flow. Oracle's fundraising, even as Elon Musk is claiming data centers in space will be the only option. Other companies like Oracle raising money for Earth capacity, but Oracle acknowledged the extra capacity is for customers, including XAI and OpenAI. In other words, Oracle is raising money to serve two customers that are also in the market to raise money to pay cloud bills. Yeah. Yeah, that's the cycle, right? XAI is also an Oracle customer who's raising for more data center capacity. Let's see here. Oh, these are just topics on different sections. Okay, fine. All right. So how is Oracle doing today? Yeah, it's down almost 3% again. I mean, look at this. Issue their fundraise, and it just keeps going down again. Yeah, we should be on Mars by now if you listened to Musk 10 years ago. Yeah, that's true. That's true. SpaceX might be closer to the flight capability with Starship. Might not need to burn its capital on that sometime in the near future. I mean, I think there's a lot of hope there. Yeah, I did see that X offices in France got raided. Yeah, I mean, mostly because of the, the unhingedness of Grok. There's no filter, right? Which is also a really big risk for, SpaceX owners, investors, right? It's crazy. Another thing here that's interesting to pay attention to is what's going on with Oracle. So Oracle, let's see here. Oracle reported 523 billion of RPO. Then we've got, that includes 300 billion for OpenAI. OpenAI's relationship with NVIDIA has epitomized concerns about the circularity. The company's unveiled a letter of intent to invest $100 billion into OpenAI over a few years. Yeah, I remember that original pitch where they were doing the $10 billion increments. And that was in September. NVIDIA, yeah, there it is. NVIDIA, look, Bloomberg literally titled it. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Bloomberg literally titled it, NVIDIA to invest in AI. So even they were, sort of tricked, if you will. All right, let's go listen to it.
About NVIDIA a lot over the past couple of months. Mike, you've spent time with Jensen Huang. You know how close he is to Donald Trump. What was the genesis of this $100 billion investment? That's $95 billion more than they announced they were putting into Intel last week. The money goes to OpenAI. We're talking about the potential of millions of stacks to be put into use here. This is huge business for NVIDIA.
This is a huge business and a huge business move on their part, because in a way it really does cement this partnership between a huge potential customer. OpenAI will need all that computing power as it tries to expand its own footprint, build its data centers. And this is a relationship that they will want to build out from the OpenAI end. But of course, for NVIDIA, this really vindicates their efforts to try to expand its own tech stack here in the U.S., but also abroad, because OpenAI is not purely a U.S. venture. They'll have their expansion plans globally as well.
Sent NVIDIA to an all-time high today. Just talked about NVIDIA a lot over the past couple of months. Mike, you've spent time with Jensen Huang. You know how close he is to Donald Trump. What was the genesis of this $100 billion investment? That's $95 billion more than they announced they were putting into Intel last week.
Yeah. And apparently that was all fugazi. That was all hype. Very interesting. But people were convinced. Like, I'm just trying to go back to look at that sentiment. And people were convinced by it then. Let me see if I can see anything else about it.
the big question, would this
bankrolling a lot of these big investments?
Let's try.
We talked about NVIDIA
Welcome
a lot
to Pressure
over the
Points.
past couple of months. Mike,
I just want to see. Oh, Gene, the Uber Bull. Let's see what he has to say.
And how long is this going to last? What inning are we in? It's NVIDIA investing into OpenAI and effectively creating more demand for the response that Elon had to.
Where's the 100?
6 core.
I want to see him mention. Well, I want to see what his opinion is on the 100. Can't find it. Oh, here.
NVIDIA's investment of $100 billion into OpenAI, and the return OpenAI is going to be buying, saving them tens or $100 billion a year. But if AI does come to have the impact on the world that a lot of these companies and these leaders believe.
Okay, this is just like a report of what's going on. He didn't really give an opinion on this. Whatever. But it's very interesting because what you're seeing is this this like 4 months ago. It's like, oh, wow, yeah, it is $100 billion investment. And, you know, now Jensen's branding it as, no, I never committed to $100 billion. I said, you know, sure, we might be open to doing up to that at some point in the future. There was some intentional, how would I put it, misleading there. A little fugazi, huh? All right, let's see here. Okay, so let's try. So that was the information. Bloomberg, Walmart hits $1 trillion milestone. Okay. Disney swaps out their CEO. Bob is leaving. Builders push Trump homes. Oh my gosh. Anything to bend the knee to Trump. To get, you know, some kind of directed capitalism. It's just pure cronyism. It's not gonna end well. But let's take a look at it. Builders are working out plans for a massive program called Trump Homes that would allow private credit to deploy billions of dollars. Lennar and Taylor Morrison are among firms working on the proposals to sell entry-level homes. Okay. Into a pathway to ownership program funded by private investors. Oh, here we go. What is it going to be, like a lease option? Yeah. Investors would rent out the homes to tenants whose monthly payments would, after 3 years, be counted towards their down payment if they wished to purchase the home. It's a lease option. Yeah, and they frequently raise, the rent above market to help contribute towards the down payment. Such a program would be complicated to implement. I mean, people do lease options all the time, but that is interesting. Private investors would bear the initial losses, blah, 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 blah. We're encouraged by thoughtful discussions between builders and the administration, blah, 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 blah. All right. So that's no news. Stocks teeter on the edge. Private equity's giant software bet has been upended by AI. Right. Traders jump software stocks. Get me out. That's true. You're seeing like massive negative momentum across software. Let's look at CNN Greed and Fear. Let's see how it sits with breath. Let's see here. So we just fell into the fear category. Market momentum is fear. Stock price strength, though, because of the net new highs and lows, still sitting at 52-week highs, but that's only 5.8%. Puts a call ratio at extreme fear. Safe haven demand and extreme fear in junk bond. What did this just pop off over here? That's interesting. Yield spread. Look at the yield spread. Just jumped over. I mean, we've seen it before. But that's today. Why did it just jump so much today? Interesting. I mean, we've seen these little pop-offs before, so I guess it would be just something to watch. But yield spreads can go from complacency to shock very, very quickly. So I actually don't enjoy looking at yield spreads because I don't think they tell you anything about what's coming. They tell you about what has been. That's not very useful. Not useful at all. Hey, looks like the Qs. Look at that. Perfect 617 within 8 pennies. We are seeing that rounding out on the Qs. Yeah. Salesforce, Adobe, ServiceNow. Look at these failures here in terms of stock price action. Salesforce down 5.8%, Adobe another 5.6, ServiceNow another 7.3. Thoughts on Supermicro? Supermicro's great. I mean, I think Supermicro's a company that has really just gotten destroyed though through not only their accounting problems, which I didn't think were a big deal, and it really rocketed out of the hole of those accounting problems. But the bigger issue right now is Oracle suggests that there might be a big slowdown coming for data centers. This Oracle NVIDIA drama, it's getting worse. I mean, did you see some of the Oracle tweets yesterday? There are things you don't say. Here, let me pull them up. It's crazy. Let's see here. Well, look at this person. This person throws a good quote together on it, but let me show you the quote here. The NVIDIA OpenAI deal has zero impact on our financial relationship with OpenAI. We remain highly confident in OpenAI's ability to raise funds and meet its commitments. Right. So look at this. This person throws out, well, social media team just cost the company $3.5 billion in market cap with a single tweet. The stock was up 2%, then it posts this, closes down 2.7%. Swing represents $3.5 billion in value by a PR team trying to project confidence. Yeah, that was dumb. Oracle has a contract of $60 billion per year starting in 2028. OpenAI's entire 2025 revenue was around $13 billion. Oracle is betting its balance sheet on a company that currently burns more cash than it earns, paying 5x its annual revenue in cloud bills. Yep. To fulfill that contract, Oracle needs to buy 400,000 NVIDIA chips at a cost of $40 billion. Oracle is raising $50 billion in new debt and equity. Bondholders already sued in January, claiming Oracle hid that need for a raise. This is true. We looked at that lawsuit as well. NVIDIA CEO is telling reporters that the $100 billion deal was never a commitment. If NVIDIA scales back, OpenAI's ability to pay Oracle becomes the question. Oracle is trying to preemptively answer here. Correct. The circular financing structure is simple. NVIDIA funds OpenAI, OpenAI pays Oracle, Oracle pays NVIDIA. If everyone's growth depends on everyone else continuing to write checks, NVIDIA just signaled it might pace those checks differently than expected. Yeah, I mean, this is what we talked about in the yesterday video with the circle. But yeah, that Oracle tweet was wild. Like, why they sent that, I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's see here. Wall Street has been skeptical about software stocks for a while, but sentiment has gone from bearish to doomsday. Traders dumping their shares. Call it SaaS apocalypse. Yeah, well, people are really like any kind of SaaS that people feel is replicatable with like a GPT has been getting sniped basically. Trading is very much get me out style selling. Yeah, I agree with that. It's creating some opportunities because I think this some of the AI fears are frankly overblown, but it's pretty wild. How's Microsoft holding up? Because they were down like 2%. Yeah, last chance to buy Bitcoin under 90K again. Yeah, exactly. Somebody says Jim Cramer just called the bottom. Oh, did he? Oh no. Let's see. Jim Cramer. He says software no bottom yet. However, HD, Home Depot store and Bloom Energy, just pumping that. Whatever. I don't want to look at this. All right. What else? Then you have, so we did the information, we did Wall Street Journal, we did Bloomberg. Let's see if the FT or Eco has anything for us. So Eco, AI bubble is not big tech's only worry. Okay. Oh, ads. Digital advertising is looking less recession proof. Well, that's not great for Google or Meta or YouTubers. Having shrugged off the previous two downturns, digital ads are likely to take a serious knock when the next one eventually hits. Dude, everything's going to get crushed. If we hit a recession, it's going to be like the most depressing like decade ever. There's so many people are going to lose so much money in markets. And you know, on top of that, people are invested and have debt. The debt is just going to be a bigger anchor under a deflationary Fed dude like Warsh. Like the textbook is writing itself right in front of our eyes. And it's kind of scary, honestly. It just makes me wonder, like, geez, man, the setup is pretty ugly. Big tech has come to dominate the market. Digital channels now account for 60% of worldwide spending, ad spending, sure, up from 30% in 2017. It's really big growth in digital advertisement. Tech giants have an 80% market share. Wow. Ads account for almost all of Meta's earnings, agreed, and they're very good. Most of Alphabet's and a growing slice of Amazon's. Even Microsoft and Apple have multi-billion-dollar ad businesses. Right. Yeah. So it says, I still can't believe Trade Desk. You know, Trade Desk, it is sad. In January of 25, I said the biggest concern was that platforms like Netflix were creating their own ad platforms and that could destroy Trade Desk. And I turned very bearish in January 2025 on Trade Desk. But the fact that it hasn't found a bottom, that's sad. There has been no bottom. Look at this. Over here, I think it peaked in December. I turned bearish somewhere around here. This little flat shelf right here. It was right around 120 bucks. That's when I turned bearish on it. I didn't get the peak, but I turned bearish here. But I mean, look at this. It's gone through every line. It's insane. You know, and Adobe is no better. You look at Adobe, it's like shocking. Look at this. I mean, you can't draw enough lines to keep this one up. We're now sitting at COVID. Look at that. March of 2020. Full round trip. The Fed vacuum cleaner is full round trip this. That's incredible. All right. Oops. Didn't mean to throw that up. There we go. Ad spending boom when the economy strong, paper published, blah blah blah. Suggests cycles in advertising spending were 40% more extreme during the economy in the economy as a whole. Robert Hall, Stanford University, found that during downturns, firms cut ad spending faster than their sales drop. Yeah, I believe that. That's always the rumored story too, that people induce their own recession by cutting advertising. Maybe HouseHack should start advertising. Well, when we release our valuation AI, which there are multiple machine learning algorithms that we're creating for that. because it takes a lot. So it's our own custom AI. But once that valuation AI comes out, it might make sense to advertise because the app will be really good. I don't know if it will. I mean, we'll see. A lot of people are already liking it, but the real step up comes when we have valuation AI for our software. And nobody's doing that in real estate. It's going to be pretty remarkable. But anyway, cyclicality made sense. Advertising was discretionary, not essential. Its benefits were uncertain. In downturns, executives preferred to preserve cash over building future demand. Cost cutting was contagious. Once a few big companies slashed marketing budgets, rivals followed. Right. It's the cycle down. It's a spiral. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, advertising. Recession. Recession, everything bad. We get it, economists. We get it. Okay. The tea is done. Okay. So, still nothing on like Doomberg? Yeah, not really. You know, there's very little on why the market seems so fussy. Let's go look at CNBC's. So gold and silver are rebounding a bit today. Look at that, almost back to 5K on gold, not anywhere near the tops. Same on silver, 88, not anywhere near the tops. Still down, 25% or so on silver. Somebody here says, Microsoft is the best pure play on AI adoption. Yeah, and they got down to 414, didn't they? Technically, we in the Alpha report said there was a good chance of them going back to 428. We've been talking about that for a while. But we're now breaking through 428. It's incredible. Should look at Teradyne. Teradyne, I think, is one of the few still doing well right now. Post earnings. Teradyne's like all-time highs. Look at this. So what's the valuation on Teradyne? TER. TER sells for 2.1. So in our Alpha report, I actually did an analysis on them. I'll give you a quick little preview of it. So quick preview of it. Teradyne fairly valued as a manufacturer. This was back in October. We did this analysis October 31st. If you bought it on this analysis, you would have paid $150 for the stock. $150 is what you would have paid for the stock if you bought it on this analysis. I called it fairly valued. Although they contract manufacture mostly, this could actually suggest this could be a $283 stock on Wall Street growth estimates of 31% average growth over the next 4 years and a 267 peg. Also, if we take Kevin's estimates due to flat robotics, which I expect to jump, and robots only taking 8% of the sales right now, $317 is justifiable for the stock. Damn, bro. Look at that October 31st analysis. So a stock's $150. I'm like, this is a $280 to $317 stock. It's got margins, have decent pricing power. The balance sheet is strong. The valuation was fair then. Momentum was already a little bit high there, but not by much. So there's a good little alpha analysis there, huh? Very good. They basically fulfilled exactly that forecast much faster than stocks usually do. So very interesting. Yeah, Qs can't even hold it up. Yeah, I don't know. Very weird market day. Look at private credit going down again. So let's look at the private credit ones here. Blue Owl. I've got Blue Owl Technology at 12.39. Hold on, where is this? Let's go. Here we go. Okay, so Ares Capital is down again. These are all the private credit puppies. All right. So Ares Capital down again. Prospect Capital slipping. KKR tanking. BlackRock has been straight down. Blue Owl straight down. This is now the lowest level for Blue Owl Tech. Price to book discount of 28 cents. Yikes. And then you look at this one. This was also selling at a discount of, what's the discount on this one? 833, 1226, 32% discount. Dude, people are dumping private credit. But that's the problem. People dump private credit. It slows down the funding for artificial intelligence. It's no bueno. No bueno at all. And then how's BT Sis holding? BT Sis. Yeah. Oh no, I feel like we just need to go look at houses. You know, because like the market's so depressing right now. You know, makes you want to look at like some nice real estate. Find something juicy to go shopping, you know? The problem is I don't like shopping this early in the year. It's less ideal. You get a lot of buyers that go shopping, so you have a lot of competition. Just put in some more codes here. All right. Well, let's see here. Yeah, I'm still waiting for some new deals to hit. Some marginal deals. Nothing super juicy. Short sale. You know? You want to go back and buy short sales? Short sales and foreclosures? That was a fun time. Yeah, wild. Yeah. Oh well. I'm gonna go work on our AI. There's a lot to do this morning. And the market's no fun right now. So anyway, all right. I love y'all. My house went up 100K in the last 6 months. Oh, good for you. Maybe you got a wedge deal. You know? The Meet Kevin style. All right, folks. I love y'all. Remember the investment for HouseHack round, the little 2-week extension we did. I just invested an extra $1 million into it. That ends on Friday. I'm extremely bullish on what we're doing as a company, and I think it's a great way to diversify away from the insanity of the stock market. Obviously, not personalized advice. You know, read the investment documents. There's risk with every investment, obviously. And yeah, our next annual numbers come out at the end of April, and probably I don't know if we'll do a valuation right away then. But yeah, be kind of cool. So I appreciate y'all. And we'll see you in the next one. Good luck.